Hi and welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we're looking at another vintage classic from Tamiya all the way back in 1985. Yes, 38 years ago, we got the two-wheel drive Fox. Now, I know we've had the Novafox, so in this episode, we're going to take a look at this old girl, look at all the work that she's going to need to restore it. Also, I have a Novafox, so we can compare the two, as there's quite a few actual differences. And if you're trying to restore one of these and you don't want to put Novafox parts on it, well, in this episode, I'll point out all the little bits that are different. So, stay tuned. Hit it, Charlie. So before we look at the cars, let's check out the boxes and see what's different. And there is quite a lot of difference between the Novafox and the original Fox, even though the condition's pretty bad, but let's dive into it. So obviously the first thing is the name, the Fox and the Novafox. Now, as far as I know, they had to change the name because of branding. Now, I don't know what it was that's actually using the name Fox. I know there was a bike, so I don't know whether that's the reason the name had to change. If you know, comment below. So obviously anything to do with Fox had to be changed on the Novafox. Believe it or not, there's like 5 different names. You've got the one on the spoiler, the one on the top, one on the side, and then you've got the ones on the actual bumper as well. So that was quite a bit of difference. Also, some of the original sponsors have now been changed, so they had to go back and edit those as well. The text has changed quite a lot. The Fox logo is still the same, but in bright yellow, but it's moved. So that's another thing that's different. The actual resistors that you can see in here, they've actually been removed, as well as the original drive shafts have changed between the Novafox and the Fox. So as you can see, they're different between here. They went back and put in the more modern style as well. Another thing that's different is the anti-roll bar on the Fox was an option that you added later, but on the Novafox they made it standard, so that's why you actually can see it there. So that's all the main obvious ones, but if you look carefully, there's about 6 little changes. Starting with the upright, that metal section there, quite an easy one, has changed. But if you look really closely at the front damper, the rubber end stop is actually on the Fox. Another one, the nut on the Fox is missing from the wheel. They've put it back in for the Novafox. The battery end is black in the Novafox, but it was red on the Fox. Also, if you go all the way up here to the upright, it is kind of metal, whereas the new Novafox has a black one. Also, the text on the actual roll bar is missing on the Novafox, but it actually has it written on here. So before we compare these two, let's have a look at this lovely original Fox that I've been sent. Now, I have hunted high and low and I cannot find the name of the person that sent this one to me. So can you please get in contact, as I want to put your name on it. I keep all cars that are gifted to the show and having the name printed on it so I can remember. So ever so sorry, it was sent to me at a very busy time and I've put it to one side and then I've only gone and forgotten the name and I can't find the person. So, so sorry about that. Also, I didn't check to see whether it's okay to mention his name anyway, so comment below or get in contact with me and I will add your name to the next video for this. Sorry. Now this one, 58051, released on the 29th of October 1985. Yes, it really is 38 years old. It ran until 1991, so that's 6 years, so that's quite a long time. Now I did find a price list for Tamiya back then in 88 and it wasn't actually listed, so I don't know whether it ran on till 1991, but really it was, you know, surplus by then and people weren't actually actively selling it. I honestly don't know. Now, price wise, I looked back and it was £70, which roughly translated into today's money is about £191. I had a look on eBay today just to see what kind of prices these are selling for, and they're about £185. Now there's been a release of 58577 on the 17th of July 2013, and that was again released in 2017 as a reissue, but in Japan only. But to be honest, I've seen quite a few times where these have dripped out, and again we're getting another reissue of this in 2023. How many we'll get, I honestly don't know, but I looked online and there's not many about, and there's not many parts either. Now, one thing that's really strange about the Fox is the chassis is unique to this car. It was never used in anything else. Some little bits and pieces are used in other cars, like some parts are from the Striker and the Falcon. So this one came to me pretty much as you see. I've cleaned it up a little bit. The wheels and tyres are kind of shot. The rubbers have gone very hard and is cracking a little bit. But I have a plan to use those. I'm not going to get rid of them. Now, when it came, I didn't know it had any electronics. They weren't actually on it, but they were all folded up. So I'm super chuffed because this car has the dual resistors on it, and that's quite iconic of the old vintage one. So I was hunting around to find one, and I opened it up today and had a look, and sure enough it was all sitting in there, so I was really happy with that. It was also for some reason missing the rear hubs that hold the wheels on, but I found some in my Striker parts bin or Falcon, so that fixed that problem. Now this is not in perfect condition at all. The rear arms are cracked completely, so I need to get rear arms. The problem is they don't seem to have many for sale at the moment, so I'll hopefully, when we see the reissue of the Novafox, that I'll be able to snag some and get those. So I'm going to strip it down and do a total rebuild on it. Body is actually in really good condition. There's no damage at all. The decals are looking a little bit tired, but I'm going to leave the body alone. I might spend a bit more time trying to clean it. I gave it a little bit of a clean. It has got quite a few marks. This has got a texture to it, so it's a bit ingrained, all this dirt. Some differences, it doesn't have stickers for the black roll bars. They're actually painted, where on the Novafox they come as stickers as well. The chassis hasn't got that much damage to it. It's got a little bit of road rash, but not much at all. So super chuffed with that. So I don't have to go out and get tons of new parts for it. Just those rear arms, both sides, if I can find it, and then it will fire up. Now the motor itself is showing a bit of storage wear, you know, from where it's been sat in a bit of a damp environment, and it's got a bit of pitting on it. But I'll put something else in there, maybe something a little bit hotter. The shocks are pretty much in dire need of a restoration. On the vintage one, you got these little extra plates for holding the battery in, where you didn't on the Novafox. A big difference when you turn it around the other side is the drive shafts. You can really see it has the vintage drive shafts on it that need a good clean by the look of it. And then you have the more modern take. Like I mentioned previously, the anti-roll bar is very different, but I do have a vintage anti-roll bar which will be going onto this, which is very different. So I'm going to fit that once I restore it. The chassis itself is actually quite easy to recognize between the two. I can flip them up. The biggest one that gives it away is the recycling label in the middle there. That was only on the Novafox, not the original. But there's lots of other things, like where the servo mount goes, is the holes is different. Also, you have these extra holes in here, which you don't have on the Novafox. Another big one, if you look at the upright on the vintage one, it's very different to the one that you get on the Novafox. So I have an original body, so I will paint that up. Now my plan is, my father, my late father, who passed away last year, had a Fox back in the day. And I talked about this a couple of years ago, but my plan is I'm going to use the old rims and this new body, and I'm going to paint it up like he had it. I'm going to keep the original body as well, so that's going to be fine, and it will stay with it. But he did it in camel yellow, and then he had some racing numbers, which I have. Then the original wheels, they were painted black because his ones were worn out like these ones are. So he just painted them black. Very simple, and he didn't put any decals on it at all. So I'm going to do the same as that one, but I will still keep everything pretty much standard, apart from I'll restore it obviously. It came with a manual, which was really cool, and I managed to source the anti-roll bar like I said before, so you can see it's very different as it has these side parts that mount it. So it was really good to get hold of one of those because they're quite rare. So there's a quick look at my new Fox. Now it's not going to be long before it's back on the show, as I pretty much got everything already. I did order some front tyres, and I've managed to get hold of the rear arms in the last hour or so. So I assume they're going to take about 4 or 5 days to arrive, so I can crack on with this one and tick it off quite quickly. I'm going to start painting up the body, so you won't have to wait long before this one is restored on the show. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye bye.